Okay, so the game right now is Cathedral, and I was mistaken about something. I thought I owned no Mattel games. There was a Geeks List out there. What is the company, the biggest company you have that you have no games of? Well, Mattel is a huge company, at least was in the toys and games segment. And not only, money-wise, etc., where it was truly huge. But even otherwise, it was very hard for me to find any companies that I didn't have games from that I'm aware of. But I knew Mattel existed. I knew they had games. So this was my pick from that. And I have games from a lot of different companies, not just, the more popular, but there's probably some Euro companies there that I don't. It turns out I actually think I have something that I didn't realize. Days of Wonder here. I thought I didn't have one of them. Well, I do. I have that sitting here. And, I couldn't think of anything. Well, I thought this was it. No, it ain't it. I have this one too, unfortunately. So if I had to try to figure out what I don't have, it would be much, much more difficult. Anyway, what's up with this game? Well, this is pretty much a pure abstract game, but because of the theme and the fact that it's got these little buildings, I ended up having to put it in my medieval era. Let me explain the rules very quickly because they are really, really simple. At the beginning of the game, one player is the first player. He's going to place the cathedral. He can place it anywhere he likes. Then, starting with the other player and alternating back and forth, they place buildings in different spaces on the board. Okay? The goal of the game is to get all your buildings down. Alright, this is a little funny shape, but if I'm leaving space for something kind of funny shape, somebody else will play there, right? Not quite. You're allowed to seal areas off. So, for example, if I'm able to get a cornered off area like this, where there are no buildings inside of it, I've prevented. That's become my personal territory. My opponent can't play there anymore. I can play in there, but they can't play in there. And it's walled off if it's connected to the walls of the city. You can't use the cathedral itself to kind of isolate things. So I couldn't, have kind of one of these actions going on in order to isolate stuff. The cathedral prevents that. But here's another little piece. If you set up, and these can't be diagonal, so this wouldn't wall anything off, but this would, okay? Because there's abutments everywhere. If you have one piece in a territory, either one piece of another color or the cathedral, which is sort of another color, in another territory that you surround in this way, you remove that piece from the board, and now you have your territory. This can be your opponent that you take out this way, and it could be the cathedral. But if there's two pieces, then you cannot take it out of play that way. So you can't remove these pieces and claim the territory. This is very important because so I played this a number of times with my wife, and she would always try to grab what turned out to be huge segments of the board. Well, when I played this, I've sealed off two segments. So if there was just a piece here, even if there were two over here, well, let's say the cathedral's over here, well, I've just taken the majority of the board here. Okay? And that means my opponent can't play in those areas. And that's very powerful because then I can play there kind of with impunity and fill it up however I like. And then I'll be able to play all my buildings and they won't be able to play theirs. If both people are blocked and can't play, well, you just count the number of squares that the building would occupy as how many points it's worth to the other player. And that's it. All right, why don't we get started and give this a shot, because there isn't much to the rules there. This was a purchase, one of those geez, why did I pay the shipping on this thing? It's a cool enough game. I would gladly have picked it up for a couple bucks used, no question. Probably it goes for under $1 most places that you'd see it used, because it's not a designer game, and well, some of the used shops have started going around $5 on all their games for some reason. I'd pay that now maybe, except I'd have to haul it home. But still, having to pay the $10 or whatever on shipping on it was not really worthwhile. And even if it is a cool game, and it is. All right, let's see how it goes. I'm not going to put a lot of thought into this. Gray will open things up with that. Let's see. I like getting kind of pieces like this into play. Oh. Put that there. Now that's going to be hard to stop, right? Okay, let's see what Gray is going to do about it. Do they care to stop it? That's always one of the questions. So what if I stop him from connecting up? Does it matter to me? And I don't know what the answer is, but I would like to throw my own piece down. Alright. I'll just put something there, I don't know. Well, I've just opened this up to red and allowed them to take what they kind of claimed here. So they'll just spread out and grab it, I guess. And now gray, gray could grab a littler space, but that doesn't seem terribly valuable. But what about this space? And I've taken a somewhat larger space there than red has. Okay. Well, red will slap a piece down. And we go back to gray. And gray would kind of like throw a piece here. Now the gray is beginning to build up something where they might claim a lot of space. Red doesn't like that terribly much. So they'll put something here that kind of foils that whole plan. And it's not really giving anything there. Gray doesn't have anything there, or red doesn't have anything they're terribly gaining by this. Of course, if they close this off, they get something big. So gray wants to stop them from doing that, I think. There isn't a lot here. These crosses are sometimes hard to play. Let's put that in place. Well, red has this, and they've just sealed that off and gotten another space. So now they have this and this. Gray has this. Yada, yada, yada. Not a big deal there. Gray will drop this into place. I don't know what that really does them. So now red has places back here that they can play in, but what they'd like to do, they're not going to be able to define much more space easily. They're doing quite well, actually. But if they have something with a little thing here, they could grow that, or they could drop this into play. That doesn't really help too much. I like this one better. And now gray's up. Well, gray has to fight over the regions that they have here. Now gray could capture some of this territory. Not really, because there's going to be multiple buildings in there. So they'll play here. They still haven't sealed this off. Now if gray takes this, will they own this? No, because there's red here, etc. So nothing's really being gained there. So now it's red's turn, and red would like to play this here, preventing gray from taking that. Gray is running out of spaces. They're kind of doing poorly here. They'll play here. Red gets to go, and now there aren't a lot of spaces that aren't claimed. Oh, there's this whole area down here. How about that? Well, we want some of that. And gray got hosed again. They'll grab this. And again, you know, this is not necessarily how I'd play if I was doing well. Well, red's kind of run out of places outside their home that they can play. So they're going to keep playing here. Gray will also grab an individual spot. Red will grab one there. Gray will grab one there. And now, pretty much all the unclaimed territory, there's some one spaces left, has been taken. Who went last? I think gray went last, so red gets to go. Red wants to put one of their big pieces in play. They'll drop this here. Gray can play here, but that doesn't terribly help them. They're not going to have a lot of places to play. They'll put that down, I guess, unless... yeah, that's not going to do them any good either. They'll put that into play. Oh, that one's kind of nice. Alright, they'll do that. Red gets to drop one here. Gray gets to throw this here. Red will slide this into play. Gray now cannot play. This is all red territory. Red gets to play a last one. And obviously they've won over gray. I suppose I'll just tack a review on, well, let's do the review separate. There's not a lot to talk about. I'll just tack a review on to the side of this, and we'll keep going from there. Okay, well, what do we got here? The game was Cathedral, old Milton Bradley game, I think from the early 80s. Grab the box so I can put it aside. But interesting little thing. Component-wise, it's kind of cute. You know, these plastic pieces. Nice to be able to just sort of play with a game like this, where you know you've got these kind of pretty-looking pieces and everything. It could just be an abstract game with just shapes. It is just an abstract game in the end, but it could just be shapes. But it's kind of nice to have these pieces. It certainly made my wife happier to play with something that had little buildings, that had a castle wall. She likes it. It's very light to play, but there's still thought and strategy in it, and it's something that either one of us could win. There's no guarantee, as long as you're not... I think the game would not be terribly pleasant to play like you would play another abstract strategy game, like a chess. Not so much a Go. I'd like playing Go the same way I like playing this. Just kind of slapping the pieces down fast. Maybe chess is better that way too, and maybe I hate chess or dislike it because I spend too much time thinking about it. I'm not a person who likes to think hard at something. I like... to just kind of go on instinct, on guts, and just do something. And this works very well that way. Anyway, it's a cute little game. I can certainly suggest picking it up and fiddling around with it in terms of like a different strategy game where the concepts are patterns being built, etc., in the same sort of way. It would be pretty fixed, I would guess, in terms of where things go, etc., except this sucker kind of mixes everything up because this gets placed first. I'm sure that, I don't know. I can't say I'm sure because, you know, a lot of these games, you have no real idea whether or not there's something really, really clever in here that may defy all attempts to break, solve, whatever the game, and you know, be able to say that there's optimal play for it. I have no reason to believe that there is for this, but the chances that someone hit upon a game where there's not a fairly easy optimal play, like in the sense that, say, checkers can be solved in terms of having a certain optimal play. If there's not, you know, the chance that somebody invented something that clever and put a Mattel brand name on it, and it didn't achieve any kind of great notoriety. For example, Twix has achieved a certain notoriety within the gaming community. Maybe just because it's 3M. Maybe because it's clearly broken and then got fixed with a simple change. A similar change could probably fix this, where one person places the cathedral and the other person chooses who goes first. That'll work the same as the Twixt solution, which is to say, it's kind of like taking the first move in chess, though, and saying, okay, now the other person gets to choose who actually made that move. It's, to me, a bit inelegant of a solution, and, certainly games like chess and Go seem to survive a lot better with there's an advantage to going with a certain side, but it's not a guaranteed win. Well, in this, I suspect that there are still placements that a little bit of cleverness, etc., can put it into a guaranteed win situation. Yet, the game doesn't try to pretend to be this great strategy game. It kind of speaks to it on here, where it says, Cathedral is easy to learn, yet a true test for the master strategist. Yeah, okay. But that sounds kind of like things like Mastermind would say about them, where you're saying, okay, master strategist, what do you mean? You mean the 14-year-old who's willing to think about it a little bit more than the 8-year-old he's playing with? But here it does say, Cathedral takes moments to learn, years to master. You start saying things like that, and I almost take it as a challenge, and I consider, should I be, trying to work this out and see, is it solvable, actually? I don't have that kind of effort, and I don't want the answer terribly well, but I hate when somebody says something like that. If they haven't proven, that it's reasonably difficult to solve, then maybe I don't really want to hear it. And other games like Othello look like they have a pretty easy solution to them as well. Although I don't think I don't remember if that's been solved or not. But it seems like there's a pattern there that you can almost dominate with. Anyway, for something along those lines, pure abstract, whatever, it looks like something that you could get a little bit of fun with. I wouldn't put too much expectation on it, though. I wouldn't count on it being something that's going to give you a lifetime to master. Just personal guess there. Alright, up it goes.